Now, Forecast First with Storm Tracker 13.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Spencer Atkins. It's 7 o'clock. Now, some of us are dealing with rain, as we can see. Some light rain with the exception of Floyd County, Pike County, some heavier rain. We also have some flood warnings. Now, these could be extended beyond that 7 o'clock time frame here, the 7:15 time frame. So we'll keep an eye on that. There are obviously some high water. A few showers in the morning. Very warm, very muggy, 57 degrees heading out the door tomorrow. More on the flooding potential and a huge temperature swing coming up. 13 News at 7 begins right now.
Working for you. This is 13 News at 7.
Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Abney.
And I'm Patrick Simon. A new group in the Mountain State is working to get people identification cards free of charge. It's all part of a new initiative by the national nonprofit Spread the Vote.
13 News reporter Lily Bradley sat down with the nonprofit's founder. She joins us now live in the studio with more on this move.
You know, Jennifer and Pat, it's a little piece of paper or plastic. That's all it is. But a government-issued ID is the key to everything. That's why Spread the Vote has started their new initiative called Project ID. Organizers tell me it's about way more than just getting people to the polls.
One of the things we hear over and over from people when they get their ID is they say, I'm a person again. You know, I'm not a person without one. I can't do anything. I can't work. I can't get housing. You know, there are a lot of food banks that won't give you food if you don't have ID. There are a lot of shelters that don't let you sleep there if you don't have ID.
Now, in addition to helping get an ID, the group also covers the cost of the ID, which on average costs about $40. Now, Spread the Vote and Project ID launched their Charleston chapter of the organization earlier this week with plans for other chapters across the state later this year. Tonight at 11, I'll have more on the group and what they're hoping to accomplish here in the Mountain State. Jennifer, Pat, back to you.
Lily, thanks. Many changes, and major changes, I should say, tonight in the proposed West Virginia education reform law.
This is the bill is being discussed in the House Education Committee. The Education Committee room so packed this morning because parents, teachers, and a lot of others interested lined up outside the hallway just to listen to the meeting on a television monitor. The bill could have a big impact on public education, and some of the most controversial items have actually been either altered or removed. A payroll protection provision, one that unions oppose, is now gone. Educational savings accounts would only be for special needs students, and a so-called non-severability clause that could have actually rendered the entire bill unconstitutional is now also removed.
The majority of the members of the House felt that provision was just a non-starter, and it wasn't, you know, leadership didn't see any way that provision could remain in the bill or for it to move forward.
Because nothing they're throwing at us makes sense. There's no way we're going to let the teachers lose their seniority. That's more important than any 5% or 10% raise they could possibly get.
But changes in the seniority system are in fact being considered. The House Education Committee is also looking at the possibility of capping any charter schools in West Virginia to a total of 6. There could be many more changes in that bill as it moves through the Education and Finance committees. State police in Huntington say a woman with special needs was attacked during a home invasion. It happened just before noon today in the 4900 block of West Pea Ridge Road. Troopers say the suspect, a white male, left in a gray car. The woman was treated for non-life-threatening injuries, but anyone with information on this case should contact police.
A Boone County man has been arrested and charged with kidnapping and malicious assault. Deputies say Robert Stewart of Racine repeatedly hit his wife in a car driving from Montgomery to Slaughters Creek near Shillian. She said that she begged for him to let her out along the drive, and according to his wife, at one point Stewart held a pistol to her head and threatened to kill her. Deputies say the woman was able to escape and call 911 from the gas station. Stewart was arrested and taken to South Central Regional Jail.
Ross County, Ohio deputies say they believe a deadly assault and a double murder could be related. Monday, deputies found a man and a woman dead along a rural road after responding to an assault of another man and woman with life-threatening injuries at a nearby home in Londonderry. The wounded man died Tuesday. Police say all 3 victims who died had gunshot wounds and other injuries. A suspect or motive in this case, though, has not yet been released.
An Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper has gone before a judge on criminal charges. Trooper Christopher Ward has been charged with 3 counts of gross sexual imposition. According to Ohio law, this charge usually involves unwanted sexual contact. The 45-year-old appeared in court where he pleaded not guilty. The Ohio Attorney General's office says there are 2 alleged victims. Ward has reportedly been put on unpaid leave pending an investigation into his case. A West Virginia woman has been indicted on charges of threatening to kill President Trump. A federal grand jury in Wheeling indicted 25-year-old Taryn Hinthorn of Middleburn. Prosecutors say Hinthorn made the threat on Facebook and elsewhere last month. Hinthorn faces up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine on each of 3 counts if convicted.
The West Virginia State Fire Marshal is currently investigating after a fire started in an abandoned home on Charleston's west side this morning. At one point, the flames grew so large they actually caught the occupied home next door on fire. All 6 people and 2 dogs that were in that home at the time did make it out safely. The abandoned home will have to be torn down, but it was actually on a list for the city of homes that would be demolished. A county official says it may be several months until a humming sound stops drifting across the Ohio River from a manufacturing plant in Washington County, Ohio. We first brought you the story back in December involving the Aramet plant. Wood County Commission President Blair Couch says he was told that Aramet spent about $15 million to reduce its dust output and installed an air scrubber, which has fans that are believed to be causing the noise. Sheriff Steve Stevens has said that the noise is a constant hum and that some residents have complained of screeching sounds as well. Couch says that Aramet hopes to fix that problem in the next 12 to 15 weeks.
It's an exciting and proud day for the West Virginia State Police and their families. 16 officers were promoted in a pinning ceremony today. Ranks from sergeant all the way up to lieutenant colonel represented by the promotions. The ceremony represents the hard work and dedication of these men and women of the state police.
We just don't say you've got so many years in, so we're going to promote you through the ranks from sergeant through lieutenant. So it's a lengthy process, and it's tough. You know, you promote where you have openings, and so these are well deserved. I'm really proud of everybody who's here today.
Among those receiving promotions today, the longest serving member of state police and the first African American female captain. Congratulations to all of them.
Charleston Mayor Amy Goodwin welcoming mayors from all around the Kanawha Valley and partners of the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau to learn ways about how they can all work together to promote the area. Participants got to take a tour of the newly renovated Coliseum and Convention Center. The CVB is working on ways to help attract even more sporting, meeting, and tourism traffic to all of Kanawha Valley. For instance, like the new Coliseum and Convention Center.
So now that we have something really shiny to show off, the $18 million Shawnee Sports Complex and $8 million at the Clay Center, we really have something to brag about right now.
The CVB says they're also excited about a new countywide travel planner and inspiration magazine.
A new study shows Kentucky bourbon is lifting more than just spirits. It's raising the state's economy. Yesterday, industry leaders cheered with lawmakers over another round of profit increases. This comes nearly a decade after business owners poured bourbon on the Capitol steps to protest a proposed tax hike. Now, Kentucky bourbon contributes over $8 billion annually to the Bluegrass state's economy, as well as big increases in jobs, capital investment, and tax revenue.
President Trump announcing a new campaign to help stop the HIV epidemic by the year 2030. It was during last night's State of the Union speech. The Department of Health and Human Services will be focusing on 48 counties, including some in Kentucky. HSS Secretary Alex Azar said new funding will be made available, and the campaign will emphasize more efficient medical care and support services, saying, "Together we will defeat AIDS in America and beyond," according to the president.
Tonight, lawmakers' reactions are split over President Trump's second State of the Union address.
Last night, the president also called for Congress to fund a border wall, to spend more money on infrastructure, and end its investigations into his administration. WOWK's Mark Meredith is in Washington with the latest.
President Trump says his State of the Union was all about unity. But one day after the speech, it's hard to find any new signs of cooperation on Capitol Hill.
It was not a good speech. The president's hurting.
The best thing that can be said about the president's speech is that it's over.
House Democrats say the speech did nothing to bridge the gap between parties. In his address, the president once again urged Congress to build a border wall.
In the past, most of the people in this room voted for a wall, but the proper wall never got built. I will get it built.
But lawmakers say a deal on the wall remains out of reach.
The president will visit the border next week with a campaign rally in El Paso, Texas. The White House says it's still considering declaring an emergency on the border, ordering the military to build the wall even if Congress disapproves.
In his address, the president also urged Congress to stop its investigation into interference in the 2016 election.
If there is going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation.
House Republicans jumped in Wednesday supporting that demand.
We have been investigating for the last 2 years. I think it should come to a close.
Democrats say they have no plans to give up their oversight authority and will allow the investigation to continue. In Washington, I'm Mark Meredith.
An update now to our ongoing state of waste investigation into West Virginia's state vehicle mismanagement and ultimately reform. A final count is in on the state's fleet. West Virginia currently owns 8,380 vehicles. Delegate Gary Howell of Mineral County, a chief architect for reform, says, quote, after years of confusion and conflicting data, we finally know how many vehicles the state owns. Knowing that could begin to save taxpayer dollars. That's because, as we earlier reported, the Board of Risk and Insurance Management, or BRIM, had been paying to insure around 12,000 vehicles.
A former Marshall University football player is tackling a new kind of problem off the field. Corps Director Tarek Thomas is taking on the challenge of helping hundreds of people going through recovery and helping them find employment. He says one of the biggest obstacles is cutting through the stigma that's often associated with substance abuse disorder. Thomas not only works with people in recovery who need jobs, but he also helps area businesses like hotels, restaurants, and big box stores understand that people there that they're hiring are not a liability.
Being so close to home, I have dealt with addiction in my family growing up, so I always wanted to be in a position where I can help people.
The CORE program is just the beginning. It will also offer men and women letters of recommendation that will also be able to give potential employers a look at what they have to offer. Coming up tonight on 13 News at 11, reporter Tiffany Lopez tells us Thomas's personal connection to the cause and how the lessons he's learned will help people on the field, will help others off the field.
As we stated at the top of this very broadcast that these warnings could be extended, and indeed they have. They were going to drop off at 7:15, which is right about now. They've been extended until 1:15, and that's for Meigs and for Gallia and for Jackson and for Vinton counties, Athens County, Pike and Scioto. We're dealing with high water in these spots. Thanks to this, over the past 24 hours, we've seen anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rainfall. So there are spots where water has been over the road. You want to be very, very careful. And now new heavy rains are kicking in down here in Prestonsburg and in Pikeville. Southern counties see the heavy rain for a few hours, then we'll see more rain lift on through for more of us to start the day tomorrow, with temperatures likely in the 57-degree range. Very, very warm. We'll talk more about that big chunk of rain hitting our way and what happens behind that. A huge change. More on that in a few minutes.
It's that time of year again. I know you're excited about this. The West Virginia International Auto Show. It's back at the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center.
This is my 4th year actually going to the show. I had a chance to check out some of the amazing cars today, and I honestly can say I think this is going to be the best year yet. The first luxury vehicles from Astarg Auto began filling up the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center. While the auto show will open its doors to the public on Friday, it'll last through Sunday. The process takes a whole lot longer to set up. Join me and Brian Hughes for a very special VIP preview tomorrow night, right here at this time, 7 p.m. We'll be revealing some exclusive cars and trucks that have barely come off the production line. One car that made its global debut during the Super Bowl. There are some that literally I got to see today that came literally from the factory, and they drove it straight to West Virginia and parked it right in there. So it's going to be really amazing. We can't wait to see you.
Fantastic. Hey, right now, let's take a look at this is Huntington right now. Huntington this evening. Spencer has your forecast. Stick around for that.